Us is Jordan Peele's latest horror that has a hell of a lot to unpack from it. The ending of the film may leave some viewers scratching their heads, so I thought I'd put together an explanation to break down everything that you need to know about the film and its plot. This is full spoilers ahead, so if you haven't seen the movie yet and don't want to know what happens at the end, then I highly recommend that you turn off now. With that out the way, I'm Definition and welcome to the channel where I explain it so you don't have to. Okay, so here are some out of context spoilers as your last warning before you watch this video. Anyway, Us follows the story of Adelaide Wilson, who along with the rest of her family returned to her childhood beach home for a vacation. Adelaide is haunted by nightmares from her youth and she gets increasingly worried that something bad is about to happen to her family. These fears quickly become a reality when 4 doppelgangers descend upon her home one night, and throughout the film they do their best to terrorise the family, whilst the family try and get to the bottom of the mystery of who they are. Adelaide's doppelganger is the leader and she uses the rest of her forces to separate the family and spread them out, which involves several different scenarios and eventually leads to them discovering that everyone has a shadow version of themselves. These shadow people, known as the Tethered, live underground, eat rabbits and mirror the movements of those on the surface. It's stated in the film that the Tethered may be part of a government experiment, and whilst it's not detailed, this ties into the overall message of the film, which I'll go into later. They have been put in place to attempt to reverse the control that those who live above have over them, and instead allow for the Tethered to control the people on the surface. We learn that the Tethered have come to kill their opposites and unite to show themselves to the world. Throughout the film, we discover Adelaide's childhood, including a time that she was at a carnival with her parents, and after wandering into a hall of mirrors, witnessed a mirror version of herself. This opens the film, but we learn a lot more of this backstory as the movie goes on. It turns out that the beach house is in the same location that the carnival was that she visited as a child, and the trauma that she experienced there has come back in full force to haunt her. Though the family managed to kill some of the Tethered, upon returning to the beach the next day, they see many of them holding hands as a symbol of their union and to show that this is us. Adelaide's doppelganger manages to kidnap Adelaide's son and descends into the subsurface world. Adelaide follows her through the Hall of Mirrors from her childhood, in which we discover that there's a secret doorway there. It's here that we learn the truth behind the movie, and it turns out that Adelaide's doppelganger planned the entire invasion and has been waiting for 30 years to spring her trap. It appears that Adelaide manages to kill her doppelganger and rescue her son. However, and this is the big twist of the film, we learn that when Adelaide originally met her doppelganger in the Hall of Mirrors, they actually switched places. This is why Adelaide is the only member of the Tethered that is able to speak, and this also explains her quest for revenge. The doppelganger, upon reaching the surface as a child, was able to adjust over time to normal life, but she still possesses those traumatic memories. The real Adelaide has been the one trapped underground, and this drive and need to return to the surface is why she began attempting to command the army of doppelgangers. The twist feels like it was ripped straight out of the Goosebumps book, Let's Get Invisible, and those who remember that episode will of course see a lot of similarities here. The rest of this video that discusses the meaning behind the Tethered is something that I've already covered, so if you've seen that video already, you may want to skip certain sections of this one as it's retreading a lot of old ground. For those who haven't known, stay tuned as there are a lot of things that we can take from the director of the film that signifies the meaning behind the Tethered. Well, Jordan Peele, when speaking frankly about the creatures, stated the following: "We're our own worst enemy, and that idea created this monster, the Tethered. I wanted to forge this new mythology that explored our duality and the duality of the characters. I think what was a fun challenge for the actors was finding the connections between the characters and their counterparts." At the premiere for the film, when questioned, the director said, "On the broader strokes of things, this movie is about this country. I was stricken with the fact that we are in a time where we fear the other, whether it's the mysterious invader that we think is going to come and kill us, take our jobs, or the faction that we don't live near that voted a different way than us. We're all about pointing the finger, and I wanted to suggest that maybe the monster we really need to look at has our face. Maybe the evil is us." This makes sense a lot, and though this may be a reach, perhaps the title Us isn't just us, but it's actually also US, as in the United States. If correct, this could also mean that perhaps we must look at ourselves to be positive in order to create a better world for tomorrow. No, this isn't an anti-America hate rant, it's just that perhaps the film is putting the responsibility on us for letting the world get to the point that it is. The scissors too hold their own significance to Peele, which conforms to the overall message of the film. Peele also stated, "When we talk about the scissors and the rabbits, for every choice like that, there are several different reasons that click to me, but the first test that anything passed was the genre test. So, does it conjure the horror genre to me? Which is a limitation that I feel very dedicated to working within. I think rabbits and scissors, they're both scary things to me, and both inane things. So I love subverting and bringing out the scariness and things you wouldn't necessarily associate with that. This again cements that whilst ghosts, werewolves and more may be scary on a supernatural level, in real life when compared to the mundane, they are a mere fantasy. This is what's most horrifying about The Tethered. They showcase all of the things that we've tried to push beneath the surface that will eventually come back to haunt us. However, there are other things that can be taken from the mysterious creatures that perhaps shed a positive light on them. To me, they represent the rising of the oppressed, and that it's now time for those that have been pushed to the shadows to finally come to the light and showcase that they are the majority rather than the minority. There's clear allusions to the Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter and more, and the film is definitely a commentary on the social situations that are happening in the world today. It's quite a nice little metaphor, and whilst I do feel that the film falls apart slightly in certain areas, the meaning behind it is still strong. Obviously, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the film and if you took anything different from it. If you enjoyed this video, then please like it and make sure you check out my breakdown of last week's other big movie, Captain Marvel, which will be linked at the end. This is the channel for people who are mad into movies, so if that's the kind of thing you like, hit subscribe. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this. I've been Definition, you've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.